Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to Planescape Torment. Alright, let's go ahead and talk to Vrishika again. I had some questions. I'll entertain any questions about the merchandise, but I'm not going to be drawn into one of your famous 20 questions about something around the spire. Understood? What are you, Vrishika? Vrishika sighs loudly. An Alu fiend, a half-demon. My mother was Tanari, a fiend, and my father a great king of mortals. Such a rude question. But then, you're rather rude-looking yourself, aren't you? Oh, just a question, jeez. I had another question. What did you mean by calling Mort prevaricating? Prevaricating, misrepresenting, perjuring, dissimulating, lying. Oh, did I say that? I'd meant a floating, disembodied, pontificating skull, as in dogmatic, always stating an opinion in a self-important manner. Vrishika smiles innocently. You and Fall from Grace seem to care little for one another. Oh, that Betazu camp follower who's made her home in Sigil. Curious, no? But then, what better a place to train her agents than that little brothel of hers? Betazu camp follower? Ever since her mother sold her into slavery, she has been a plaything for the plains for many a century. She claims that she was able to free herself from their chains, but you may give that word as much credence as you would give the word of any other Tanari bitch. She smiles slightly. Myself excluded, of course. Oh, of course. It is the truth. Truth? Truth? One does not win free of Betazu contracts, bitch cloaked in human skin. You speak lies, and all the Tanari hordes know it, from the lowest legions to the other comforts suckling succubi as they comfort across the plains. Fall from Grace was but a Betazu slave from the moment she was born, and so shall she always be. You still are an indentured plaything of the Betazu, to be tortured and commanded as they see fit. Vrishika sneers. You even behave as they do. One may win free of Betazu contracts if one is wary of the wording, and if one realizes that the Betazu are beholden to keep their own word. One must simply beware of any meanings that may be twisted to their ends. And I am well versed in language and its subtleties. Even so, it was not an easy matter. Enough. I do not care to hear you speak your lies in my presence. Fall from Grace maintains her flawless composure and simply nods. Though when you catch her eye, she gives you a slightly exasperated look, then smiles. What was it that you said about training agents, Vrishika? Yes, they are eyes and ears in the city of Sigil and across the plains. What they do not see or hear, they may coerce from another man that they see in that has seen and heard. And who could think of humans capable of such deception and trickery? Oh, Grace is indeed a clever one. Not as clever as her mother, perhaps, but clever nonetheless. That is not the purpose of my establishment. Oh, but of course not. Did I dare suggest such a thing? Perhaps you should let the man judge for himself. Vrishika turns to you, eyes blazing. Do you not wonder, little man? Does the method of reason and curiosity ever enter your mind as to this matter? Does not the arrangement at the brothel seem strange to you? Vrishika goes on before you can answer. Occam's razor can leave a scar, but it can remove the deeper ailments so often caused by poison of liars and imaginers. And now here she is traveling with you. Most curious. Why would someone, a proprietress of such an establishment, leave it for any reason? And for a man she barely knows. Questions, questions. The answers may be painful indeed. He is well aware of why I agreed to travel with him, Vrishika, when he asked me to do so. Oh, I'm certain he did ask. What man could resist? Vrishika sneers and looks away in disgust. I had another question. Tell me about this place, at least. What you see within this shop is the result of much trading and traveling across the plains. She makes a sweeping gesture of the shop. Weapons, charms, and other specialty items are for sale here, as well. Everything that is rare and oh so exquisite fills this emporium. Your needs, I sate them. That's all I wish to know. Farewell. Alright, I'm not sure what I could, you know, what other items might be useful.
All right.
Not sure exactly what this building is, but... Art store, huh?
I'm gone.
Let's wander about alone. Ivana? This painting shows what looks to be an infinitely long stream of bilious green gas stretching off into darkness. The horizon of a blasted rocky plain can be seen in the lower right-hand corner of the painting. One is given the impression that the head of the green cloud is rearing to strike down upon it. A placard reads, Hazazoth at the consumption of Nagar. A painting of tall black cliffs against a blood-red sky. There looks to be figures hiding amongst the crags of the cliffs, but whenever you squint at the painting to try and make them out, the images fade into nothing. The placard reads, Outland Raiders. A massive horn of beaten lead, wound with brazen chains. The horn is horribly mangled, as if some tremendous force had crushed it. Jagged blades protrude along its length, almost as if it were meant to be used as a club by some gigantic creature, as well as a battle horn. A placard mounted beneath the horn reads, Cleansing Horn of Acheron. Put your head against the wall and try to blow the horn. What's the worst that could happen, right? Try as you might, you can get no sound to issue forth from the massive horn. Your lips come away from the mouthpiece, tasting of blood, smoke, and metal. Yum. Sorry about that. An animated bloody iron chain, coiling and uncoiling upon itself. The chain itself seems to bend and weave like the spine of a snake. A small placard reads, A Chiton's animate chain, from Jangling Hitter. Again, what's the worst that could happen if I touch the chain? The chain is slightly warm to the touch, as if it were alive. You notice that various barbs, tiny hooks, needles, and other small, sharp bits are welded along the chain's length. Apparently nothing bad can happen. A brilliant ruby statuette stands on this pedestal, carved into the image of a winged humanoid. The figure is either demonic or angelic in nature, but it is difficult to tell which, because it refracts the light in the Galleria strangely. There is no placard indicating what exactly the statuette is. Well, those appear to be bat-like wings, which... Well, I guess I can look at that one. Which doesn't exactly seem angelic to me. This painting, an abstract work of greens and purples, writhes and ripples as it's watched. Closer examination reveals that the actual painted image is changing rather than the canvas itself. A placard states, Moments glance from the walls of Mokma. Touch the painting. You place your hand upon the painting. As you had suspected, it is not that the canvas is physically moving, but the painted image itself is changing. The surface of this painting, a wild collage of vivid colors, ripples constantly, as if it were the surface of a pond during a light rain. A placard reads, Wave Motion Study number 7. Let's touch the painting. You place your palm against the canvas. You cannot feel the ripples themselves, though a cool tingling sensation passes through your hand at first contact. I wonder about this. The statue looks like it is about to make some angry proclamation. The sculptor has captured the essence of fury magnificently. The chiseled tension lines around the neck and forehead alone must have taken many long months to get correct. Fine cracks run over the entire statue, and there is a placard attached to its base. Let's read the plaque. The plaque reads, "This statue is believed to be the final fate of the Ethersarian sorcerer Gangroigadon. Gangroigadon. There we go. Attacked by a conclave of rival sorcerers at the height of his dream madness, he was imprisoned with a spell that turned his flesh into stone. Gangroigadon is said to have been frozen with a final awful curse still upon his lips, a curse so terrible that it was never meant to be spoken by the lips of a living man." Let's examine the statue first. The statue looks like it is about to make an... Okay, that's the same thing. Examine the cracks. You carefully examine the cracks that run like a network of fine black veins along the statue's surface. At one point near its inner arm is a section where an entire splinter of stone looks ready to come off. Break the piece off. You reach for the section of the forearm where the cracks have formed. Grip it firmly and yank, to no avail. You'll need a hammer to break the stone, and a small one. The limited space between the statue's arm and body means a large one suitable for combat, for instance, won't work. Apply the Gorgon salve to the statue. You smear the foul-smelling ointment over the statue. There is a strange shimmering around the statue, and you watch as the statue takes an intake of breath, and the eyes of Gangroigadon fill with a blazing, vengeful madness. Greetings! Before you can do a thing, a blazing torrent of words flies from the sorcerer's lips. As he speaks, you feel an agonizing sensation like a sudden wave of raging heat pour over you and settle into your skin like a blistering wound. Blindness strikes you as your eyes burst, running from their sockets like shattered eggs. You hear someone screaming. You realize it is you. Wait for the horror to end. Oh, 4,000 experience points. Last things you hear, even over your own cries, is Mort shouting.
New taunts, all right.
By the lady's bladed teeth, what a... Everything suddenly falls silent as the last of your senses flicker and fade away to nothing. Die horribly, a victim of Gangroigadon's awful curse.
So again it has come to pass. Feels like I've been strained through someone's bowels.
Interesting. Alright, that's not where I want to be, though. Alright, let's head back in. I was here. I'm not sure if I want to keep that. I mean, I did get experience points. Mort did get a boost to his skill. But at the same time... I'll just go in there.
Done.
I kind of want to, like, try to break off that bit of stone. The statue, in truth, the once petrified sorcerer Gangroigadon, is simply gone, presumably having walked off without leaving so much as a note of apology. Okay, let's see.
I'm gone.
Examine the cracks, break the piece off, examine the statue, read the plaque, apply the Gorgon salve, cover your ears. Nope.
New taunts, all right. How many times must this fool die?
Can we get something else? There was one other option that I want to try, which probably won't work.
Run like mad. Nope.
New
Okay.
taunts, all right.
Don't let it end like this.
Okay, well, I kind of want to...
Shall we proceed?
How did we get back here anyway? Yeah, what I want to do is wait until I have a hammer so I can see what the other option is, what that actually does for us.
Done.
Let me take a look at that again. Read the plaque, examine the statue, examine the cracks, break the piece off, and leave the statue. All right. This is a portrait of a grotesque, hook-nosed old crone. The hag's flesh is a sickly blue-gray color. Her eyes glow red like the embers of a dying fire. Her chin, long and sharp, juts forward in an extreme underbite. Two yellowed canines protrude upwards from her lower jaw like small tusks. The smile upon her withered, purplish lips speak of a horrible secret. A placard reads, Grey Hag of Oinos. As you begin to turn away from the painting, something in it draws your attention. A strange, tingling sensation arises in the back of your mind, a memory beginning to surface. Let's try and recall it. 300 experience points. You recall standing, confused, in a maze of briars. A hideous crone from the painting is before you, cackling wildly. You grit your teeth in frustration, wondering why she's laughing at you. My poor dear, lovely man thing, she croons. Why, that was your first wish. She points a single bony clawed finger at your forehead. Your temples begin to throb painfully, and you can remember nothing more. Well, hey, so that story was about us. This looks to be a subterranean landscape, a massive cavern interior filled with colorful, faintly luminescent, gigantic fungi. A placard reads, Veil beneath Clangeddon. Interesting. This painting is a dark cityscape, a faraway view of some giant center of civilization being burned to the ground. The streets of the place are empty, however, absent of soldiers, refugees, or even corpses. A placard reads, The Folly of Udo. Udo? It's Udo from Xenosaga. The hundreds of chips of translucent green glass which make up the stained glass window don't appear to be held together by anything, but rather remain free-floating and mysteriously suspended within the iron frame's boundaries. The shards ripple and move in slow waves, causing bizarre patterns to fluctuate across the window's surface, as various portions of it refract the Galleria's light in different directions. A small placard beside the window reads, Arcadian stained glass window. Let's touch glass. You reach out to touch the undulating glass shards, but find you cannot do so. Your hand stops just short of the surface of the glass. Let's punch it! You succeed only in bruising your knuckles. The glass may as well be sheet iron. This painting shows an enormous granite keep, a hideous thing, long and low, covered in leering gargoyles, suspended in what looks to be the night sky. A cloud of crimson and violet vapor whirls in the background. Along the right side of the painting, the placard reads simply, The Library. This painting depicts a shore scene, with a wide reddish-orange sun setting behind a peninsula or large jetty. The scene, though unoriginal, is breathtaking. The play of the fading daylight across the water is captured perfectly, but staring at the painted sun for any length of time makes your eyes ache. The placard reads, Surface of Thalassia. Let's touch the painting. Oddly enough, there is nothing unusual about the surface of the painting. A set of 4 paintings which portray an empty beach in the dead of night. Looks kind of bright for being dead of the night. The air around the painting smells faintly of brine, and the painted sea seems to ebb and flow across the darkened shore. A placard reads, Karasuthran Shoreline. Sniff at the painting. The surface of the painting smells strongly of sea air. Let's touch it. You place your hand on the painting, not knowing quite what to expect, but it is merely the texture of painted canvas that you feel beneath your fingertips. And now this. Dark Birds of Ocanthus. Several shards of black crystal, or ice, swirl within the freezing wind that this ornate pedestal gives forth. Each shard looks razor sharp. Touching or grabbing one could be perilous. A placard on the pedestal reads, Dark Birds of Ocanthus. Touch one. As you reach out to touch one of the whirling shards, your finger enters the icy wind that rises from the pedestal. Instantly, a coat of numbing frost forms around your finger, causing you to momentarily draw back. Let's place your fingers back in and touch one. You thrust your finger into the frigid, numbing wind. Unbeknownst to you, your forefinger freezes solid. As the black shards spin into it. Your fingertip breaks off with a sharp crack and goes skittering across the Galleria floor. The icy dark birds remain in their whirling orbit as you wait for your fingertip to grow back. Leave, hope no one saw any of that. Looks like I took a couple points of damage there, though. Grab one. As you reach out to grab one of the whirling shards, your fingers enter the icy winds. Okay. Place your hand back in and grab one. You thrust your hand into the frigid, numbing wind. Unbeknownst to you, blah, 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 okay. As another of the black shards spins into your fist, your hand breaks off at the wrist with a sharp crack and goes clattering across the Galleria floor. Pick your hand back up and stick it back on, quick. You pick up the frost-covered fist and thrust it onto your bleeding stump, noticing that the dark bird you grabbed, a razor-sharp shard of black ice, is already melted away to nothing. It looks like you'll have to catch it in something that will keep it cold. Eventually, warmth and feeling returns to your hands as your tissues thaw and regenerate. Okay. I see.
It couldn't hurt you to say a few words to me, Fiendling.
Oh, aye, it could. Hurt you, that is.
Huh. Before you is a well-dressed elderly woman with a gown of peach-colored and golden thread. She stands quietly, her hands folded together primly, and nods in your direction. It is then you notice that she has no pupils. Her eyes are entirely white.
Greetings, sir. I am Ivana. Welcome to my Galleria. Feel free to look about, spending as much time here as you like. Should you have questions regarding any of the pieces, do not hesitate to ask me of them.
I had some questions.
One moment, sir. Your voice. It is heavy with age and wounds. Would you be so kind as to permit me to touch your face?
Go ahead. Ivana smiles, gently running her old hands over the skin of your face. She frowns, looking slightly puzzled.
So many scars, both old and new. They seem to...
She touches the side of your throat, flushes, then pulls away.
Pardon me, sir. I was curious to see how far they went.
It's fine, and they're everywhere. My whole body is scarred. Ivana nods. I had some questions.
Of course, please ask.
Can you see?
I believe she is blind by choice, and not by circumstances.
Ivana nods, smiling.
Your friend is quite correct, sir. I cannot see, but only because I do not wish to. In time, I will allow my vision to return so that I can re-experience the contents of my Galleria with the benefit of new, fresh eyes.
Interesting. Do you know what this little cube-like toy creature is? Ivana takes the item and drags her fingers along it. She feels along the exterior of the object, then hands it back to you.
It's more than just a well-crafted toy Modron, that's for certain. It may be some sort of puzzle box or portal key.
I already know what a Modron is. Well, we'll see what she has to say.
Modrons are a race of lawful, orderly beings. They come in many shapes and forms, each one occupying a different level in the rigid Modron hierarchy. I think this sort is called a quadrone.
I had another question. You look familiar to me. Do you know someone named Yves?
That is my daughter.
For a moment there is a hint of sadness in the milky whiteness of her eyes.
We no longer speak to one another.
Why is that?
There's nothing to be said between us. She has gone off in pursuit of stories. All for reasons I am unaware of.
She told me a tale that might answer that question.
Ivana raises her eyebrows. Oh, tell me, would you please? I'd most appreciate it, sir.
Tell her Tail Chaser's story, and of her endless quest for the tail that holds the truth she seeks. Ivana nods slowly. I had no idea. I will see her now. I thank you, good sir, for bringing me this news of my only daughter. As she speaks, color slowly bleeds from her pale irises until her eyes are a brilliant shade of green. Your eyes, can you see now, Ivana? She nods, smiling. I had another question. What is this place? Why, it's my Galleria of the Plains. She smiles and gestures around her. These pieces have been brought from far and wide. Some I sell, some I keep, all I display at one time or another. Please enjoy them. And again, should you have any questions regarding any of the pieces, do not hesitate to ask me of them. What is of interest here? I am afraid that I do not go far beyond the Galleria, and cannot help you with this matter. You might try and ask someone else. Alright, well, I had another question. Where could I find work here? I'm afraid that okay, that's the same thing. What do you know of Ravel Puzzlewell? She is a night hag, one of the eldest Grey Sisters of the Wastes, who came to Sigil many centuries ago to pursue arcane experiments. It was believed that these experiments were against the lady's will, and that Ravel was thus banished from Sigil, imprisoned within one of the lady's mazes, on the ethereal where her body rests to this very day. Go on. Ravel was said to have been a master of riddles and puzzles, but it was believed there was one riddle, one question in particular, that was said to have plagued the ancient night hag. What can change the nature of a man? She issued a challenge to any who were interested. She promised to instruct any who came to her in her craft, if they could only answer the question to her satisfaction. If they could not, they consented to be her next meal. Many died coveting Ravel's teachings, and it is believed that until her final hours in Sigil, Ravel never discovered the answer to her question. Ravel's crime was believed to be some means of trying to shatter the cage, trying to crack open Sigil itself for some unknown reason. Ivana sighs. This is all I know of her. Okay. I had a question about one of the pieces. Oh, which one? One of the paintings? The Arcadian stained glass window. A stained glass window found hovering on the third layer of Arcadia 32 years ago, foretelling a scene that had yet to occur. When the event came to pass, the images faded to leave what you saw behind. It is believed to have captured both the light and the darkness from the orb of night and day on Arcadia, then slowly release it, creating a brief but slow fade of dawning and dusk, but only within the glass itself. Orb of night and day? Arcadia? Arcadia is a plane of peaceful order, also known as the land of perfect good. The orb of night and day... Timer's going off. Well, we'll finish talking to her and then end the episode. The orb of night and day is a sphere set in the top of Arcadia's highest peak. Each half emits either light or darkness. The turning of the orb gives Arcadia its day and night. Let me ask you about another piece. The Battle Horn of Acheron. Ah, the cleansing horn. A horn of beaten lead metal drawn directly from the cube of Acheron. The cube of Acheron? There's multiple cubes in Acheron. It is said that the cleansing horn last sounded when the companies of the Jackal and the Gouged Eye clans met for their battle at the Disputed Lands. Legends tell us that this horn's power was used near the battle's end to draw the floating cubes together, crushing the routing company of the Jackal before it could escape. Cubes? Acheron? Acheron is a plane of harshly enforced order, where conformity is more important than good. It is composed of gigantic metallic cubes that float through an endless void. Many cubes are large enough that cities or entire kingdoms have been built upon their faces. And it is a place where the dead of the orcs and the dead of the goblins battle endlessly. Let me ask you about another piece. The Dark Birds of Ocanthus.
Updated my journal.
All of them are chipped from the great magical sheet of black infinite ice that rests in the black belly of the plain of Ocanthus. Ivana pauses, tapping her chin. It is said that this sheet of ice is the final destination of the river Styx, and that the recollections of all that have plunged into the Styx's memory-destroying waters still lie frozen within the ice.
If the waters of the Styx destroy one's memories, would the ice from Ocanthus do the same?
I could only assume so, yes.
Let me ask about another piece. The ruby statuette.
That piece was found in a cathedral in the fertile fields of Elysium on the first layer, Amoria the Untroubled, where it bordered the river Oceanus. The name of the piece is not known, but the skill and craftsmanship are believed to be one of the most striking examples of gem crafting in the plains. The mere way in which the piece captures, distills, and enhances the light through which its facets is part of its breathtaking wonder. It seems to bring to light the possible ideological connection between even the most evil and the purest beings in the multiverse. Fascinating.
Next up, the chitin's animate chain.
The chain comes from the city of Jangling Hitter, the city of chains that hangs on Mineros, third layer of Bator. The chains there are the finest in the multiverse, but the inhabitants of Jangling Hitter are malicious and cruel, using the chains as living weapons against all that enter their city and violate their laws. Chitons move about the city in chains as spiders upon webs, adorned in chains woven tightly around their bodies. Chitons possess a power known as the Gift of Chains, which allows them to manipulate chains with their minds. It is believed that my Galleria's chain was animated during a battle in which the chiton controlling it was slain with a cursed hammer, its life essence then passing into the chain itself. The statue of the Screaming Man. This statue is believed to be the final fate of the Ethersarian sorcerer Gangroigidon, attacked by a conclave of rival sorcerers at the height of his dream madness.
Yeah, that's the exact same text.
It is said that the fury of the curse was enough to blister the flesh from the bones of those who heard it, and that it could even shatter the stones themselves.
Let me ask you about another piece. Alright, one of the paintings. Karasuthran Shoreline.
Karasuthra is a layer of the Beastlands which is perpetually shrouded in night, filled with all manner of animals that stalk their prey in the darkness. A painter who would fall in love with a cat lord.
A cat lord? The cat lord. There's only ever one. I mean, I suppose she could mean a cat lord, one of the many that has come and gone.
And followed her to her homeland, gave the paintings to me. Never did he reveal to me the secrets of their construction.
Alright, next up. Outland Raiders.
An interesting piece, yes? The painter managed a most interesting effect with the forms of in the cliff's shadows. The woman who brought this piece brought me this piece told me she found it in an abandoned camp on the Outlands. The original painter was never found. Presumably they were slain by the same raiders whose image they captured in the painting.
Hazazoth at the consumption of Nagar.
This painting is a copy from the wall of one of the gatehouses, Sigil's largest asylum, cell walls. All the occupant could speak was, Hazazoth has consumed Nagar. Hazazoth has consumed Nagar. A bit frightening, I think, but a fine painting nonetheless.
Surface of Thalassia.
Thalassia is the sea in which the river Oceanus, which winds through most all of the plain of Elysium, begins and ends. This piece was painted by one of the many island's inhabitants.
The library.
I know very little about this piece. It simply arrived on the doorstep of my Galleria one day, swathed in black cloth and labeled from the Citadel. One knowledgeable patron hypothesized that it might be some great sorcerer's fortress, suspended within a demiplane of their own creation.
The Folly of Udu.
This painting illustrates one of the legends of the prime world Goha. Udu was a wizard king of such skill and power that he set up casting a spell that would turn himself into a power, and the people of his great nation into divine servants. With the spell's completion, lightning crashed down around Udu's palace, setting it ablaze, and before the thunder had died away, the city was empty, not a living thing to be found. Over 70,000 people vanished without a trace, in a heartbeat. No one knows the fate of Udu or its people.
Veil beneath Clangeddon.
Bulbog Stonenose sold this painting to me. It is of a field beneath Mount Clangeddon, the home of the dwarf Einherjar, spirits of the upper planes who serve as guardians or warriors in the plane of Arcadia.
Grey Hag of Oinos.
This is said to be a portrait of Ravel Puzzlewell, very likely the most evil hag to ever to have terrorized the Grey Waste and beyond.
What do you know of Ravel Puzzlewell?
She is a night hag, one of the eldest Grey sisters.
Okay, that's same thing. Go on. Go on. I had another question, and now I have to go back to that. Alright. One of the pieces, one of the paintings. Wave motion study number 7.
A young man whose name I do not know sold me this piece. It was one of several he had, but the others had already had owners, or so he said. I would so like to possess the entire collection, but alas, it oft seems some things are not meant to be.
Now that's got to be a reference to an actual painter, right? I mean, it sounds familiar to me. All right, another painting. Moment's glance from the walls of Mokma.
Mokma is a Githzerai fortress which floats in the plane of Limbo. The Moment's glance was painted by the Chaos Scholar Dai, who remembers everything she sees with perfect clarity when she is not stricken with madness.
Next up, and that's it. Never mind. Farewell. Alrighty, when we return, I think I'll go buy that frosty mug and see if I can get one of these shards. See you in the next episode, everyone.